Hey guys, Chris Honeycutt here with some more Thursday Thoughts. On today's episode, we're talking about problem solving. That's something everybody could hear about. My mentor, John Maxwell, once said, most leaders are either entering a crisis, in the middle of a crisis, or just resolving one. Leadership is about solving problems. If you want to be a leader, rather quickly, go solve a problem. And that's where we go to Matthew chapter 18. If your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault, just between the two of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. But if they will not listen, take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. Treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Truly, I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Jesus is pointing out the necessity of taking action. That, instead of letting a problem fester and linger around, you're directly doing something about it. And if a problem is presented, then one should take it straight to the source. Go right to the heart of the issue. Jesus would then give further instructions on what to do if that doesn't work. Verse 18 speaks to the consequences of our actions or inactions. Inaction is kind of the default mechanism we go back to. I don't know if it's in our DNA or something like that, but it seems like our natural state of being is to avoid problems. You have to get to the heart of the issue. And this is where people are often unwilling, not unable, unwilling to do something about it. So when Jesus is talking about dealing with someone who has sinned against you, it isn't just looking to call someone out or merely correct them on their wrongdoing. This is where he's addressing it face to face. And it's an opportunity to bring about good health and right relations in the body of the church. This is where normally we might let it go or ignore it, when instead that cements bad behavior. And our tolerance of that bad behavior leads to even more issues. And so, again, our inaction is actually action in disguise, bad action. Things will get worse if we don't do something about it. So let me tell you about one approach you can take for solving problems. Now, it's where you need to make the most of a situation. And here's the thing, that most problems that you're trying to solve are actually opportunities in disguise. This is the story of how the Post-it note was invented. The 3M Corporation, they had a problem with a certain type of glue that they invented. Their scientists, they were attempting to develop a super strong adhesive, but the glue just wasn't up to snuff. It didn't stick to things effectively. And so the glue was considered to be a failed product until Arthur Fry, a 3M chemist and inventor, found the way to turn the glue's disadvantage to an advantage. Arthur Fry searched for such an application where a glue that didn't stick too strongly to a surface would be for appropriate use. In particular, he thought of a way of combining the glue with a bookmark, which is something that people would want to move from page to page. Fry used these stickers to write the notes to his boss. This use led him to broaden his original idea into a new concept and creation of a new-to-the-world product, the Post-it note. Ultimately, Arthur Fry discovered a great opportunity in a problem. He helped his company turn around a failing project. A low-tack, reusable, pressure-sensitive adhesive that was discarded and not thought of anymore became the basis for the Post-it note, which was a tremendous success. So I want you to consider this. What is the problem in your life, at your workplace, that you've been ignoring? You've been kicking that can down the road, but it's not being solved and therefore it's getting worse. But when you can actually do something about it, and maybe you can't completely solve the problem, what if you turned it around? What if you made it something different? And that's where, again, problem solving is not exactly problem solving that we have in our head, where we get our way and it becomes what we want. What if the problem became something that is still usable, is still a tremendous success, but not what we imagined? You need to solve problems, and solving them does not mean you get your way and in your mind how something would be solved, but it's where, what can it become? What can you turn it around into? So going back to Matthew 18, sometimes it's where that person who has sinned against you, just as the passage describes, may not be fully repentant, may not want to say, I'm sorry, may not want to get things right. So what do you do in that situation? And the passage gives us details as to, hey, if option A doesn't work, try option B. If option B doesn't work, go to option C. But so many of us don't even get to option A first. And that's where we mess up. That's where we are not willing to be the leader that God has called you to be. Albert Einstein once said, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. So I want to give you 8 approaches on how problems can become opportunities. 1, recognize a potential problem before it becomes a real problem. Again, if you let a problem exist, you let it live, it will someday grow up into a big problem. Number 2, get a clear picture of the problem. What's the process for recognizing a potential issue and getting a clear picture of it so that you can tackle it? A problem broken down to its simplest form is anything that its outcome is not what you had intended. Number 3, ask questions to help solve problems. This is probably my favorite approach. This is a coaching discipline where questions actually answered the problem itself. Who knows what I need to know? Who wants to tackle the problem? Who needs to buy in, and how long will it take? Have we earned enough trust as a leader to make the needed changes? That's important. Finally, it's what questions do I need to ask myself? This is where you're doing a personal inventory. You're doing some introspection that, in order to solve a problem and to get other people to help solve a problem, make sure you have asked yourself the right questions. Number 4, create a framework to examine problems and solutions. How does this problem affect our people? Do we have the right people to help us with this problem? Is this the right time for a solution? And do we have enough time for it? How does this problem affect where we're trying to go? Are my problems taking me or my team away from our priorities? Are my values or my team's values being compromised by this problem? Number 5, value shared problem solving. The best problem solvers do not work alone. Who will you enlist to help you solve this problem? This is where, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you need to find another room. Number 6, always come up with more than one solution. Just like we saw in Matthew 18, there's option A, B, and C. If this doesn't work, then try this. Problem solving isn't always cut and dry. Together with the people you've enlisted to help you solve this problem, come up with multiple solutions to the problem. Because you know what? You probably think this problem could be solved this way. What if that doesn't work? Thankfully, if you enlist other people, they'll have other approaches as well. Number 7, cultivate a bias for action. That means don't get too caught up in the can I. Move quickly to the how can I. When is the soonest that you can implement the best solution that you and your team have discovered? Number 8, actively look for opportunities and lessons in every problem. What have you learned about your team and your opportunities through this process of problem solving? Here's some final Thursday thoughts when it comes to problem solving. The biggest problem might be you. The biggest problem might be your attitude. It might be in your mindset of how you're approaching the problem. So make sure you have the right attitude. Have a can-do attitude, not a I can't attitude. This is where a little bit of optimism goes a long way. That if other people see this attitude, this aura of I can't do this, we can't do this is impossible, you have a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even if something seems impossible or unlikely, make sure your attitude is one of positivity. Negativity amplifies a lot louder than positivity. That's unfortunately the nature of it. And our attitude often serves as an amplifier for those little small problems. So make sure the first problem that you solve is one of attitude. That's it for Thursday Thoughts. Have a great day.